Well, that's pretty hard to follow. Yeah, really, really proud of the boys. These guys, some of them were in the very first Binnar team, 10 years ago. So I'll sort of start talking about our history and where Binnar started. But really proud to see these guys as, primary school age kids come through the program and now giving back so much, not just to the kids within Binnar, but everyone in the community. It's amazing to see. I'll start off. My name's Adam Desmond. I have grown up in the city of Swan my whole life, lived in sort of Swan View and moved out to the Swan Valley as a primary school age child. Basketball growing up was a big part of my life. It was not something that I sort of was looking to take any further than just probably, playing with my mates and getting to know people and doing something that I loved. It was in 2011. One of the boys at the back, which I know a lot of people in this room, Effie, put your hand up. Effie was one of them boys that was, I think, year 5 or year 6, I think, in primary school, and there was a couple of other boys the same age that were interested in basketball, but at that stage I didn't realise there was no basketball in the area for the kids. And growing up in the area and it being such a big part of my life, and also probably growing up and knowing there was a lot of, I'd noticed there wasn't a lot of Aboriginal kids playing in a competition that I was in, and I always wondered that as a child, like why that was, or what the barriers were to them playing, or at first, because my nan grew up, my nan lived in Midvale, and we were at the primary school all the time at the courts, and there was a lot of guys that we met at the courts and everything like that, but none of them were in a structured team or anything like that. So having some of the conversations with Effie and some of the other boys, found that, there was an interest there, but there was some barriers. Some of it was, transport, financial, whatever it might have been. And I thought at the time, it was just something that I felt I could do something in a small way to help these guys play basketball. And that was the initial start, and the commitment from me was just to pick them up once a week, take them up to Kalamunda. So that was where the journey began. We inquired in Midland about a competition and found that there wasn't one in the area. And we found that there was one in Kalamunda. So every week, this sort of before a lot of people had mobile phones, and I'd rock up at the houses. They all lived fairly close together. I'd sort of like do a round trip, and they'd hear my car pull up and they were out the front, or they were already out the front waiting, and they wouldn't have known what time I was coming, what time the game was, or anything like that, but every Thursday after, they were ready and they were waiting. So I could see straight away how much it meant to them. So we started making this trek. I think the first, probably the whole first season, I would have got like a hello in the car and thank you when I dropped them off, and that was about it. There wasn't much discussion. They were really quite, shy, but it was something that I could see they really enjoyed. And as the years went on, they opened up a lot more. I got to understand more about their lives, about who they were as young people, and found that they were, really intelligent young people that, probably weren't given the opportunities, or they weren't included in a lot of things that a lot of us just probably take for granted. And it become, a journey. Another bloke sitting at the back there, John Mogridge, who's with the City of Swan. He was part of that journey from the start as well. He helped in a lot of them things. He was involved in volunteering and all sorts of stuff, and we just got to see these boys grow over a number of years. And I think it was the first 2 years we just taking them up to Kalamunda playing basketball. Then there was we saw a National Indigenous Basketball Championships in Canberra, and we sort of dreamed that, how good would it be to take these boys to Canberra and play in the Nationals, stay at the Australian Institute of Sport and things like that, just boys from Midland. And we started fundraising. We thought, that's when Binnar actually, incorporated, because we thought, if we're incorporated association or club, we'll get some sponsorship and we'll get some help and we'll get these boys there. And it wasn't that simple. We found that there was a lot of hard work to do, and I think our first sausage sizzle and car wash, we spent like a whole Saturday out the front of my dry cleaning shop and in the car park cooking sausages, washing cars, and we made a grand total of like $72. So it was a lot of work, but what we did find was how much these boys, you know, they rocked up, they trained hard, the dream was there, and we done that for the whole year. We just fundraised every week, and we eventually got there. You know, there was some people that helped along the way, and there was some things that fell into place that, you know, we were probably a couple of months out, and we were like, we're way off the target, but we got there, and we had an amazing experience in Canberra. The bonus, I guess, was the boys came back with a national championship, and they won the national champs, which was amazing to see because what they'd put into it. So, yeah, they deserve that. On our return, there was a lot more interest. There was a lot of other kids in the area that had seen what these guys had done, and it started becoming something that we realised, well, there's a big appetite for this. There's a lot of kids that want to be involved in something like this. We started like our first girls team, which Kashayla here was a part of. We had our first sort of junior team with the real younger kids as well, and we just started growing as a basketball club. And I guess to start off with, that's all we ever intended it to be, was first just a basketball team and then a basketball club. We started really seeing all the other things that were really important in these young people's lives, and that basketball alone is not going to take them to where they need to get to and help them in the aspects of their life that maybe they were lacking. And we started seeing, you know, a lot of other opportunities that could get them involved into more like I guess that's where Binaa evolved as a program instead of, you know, just a basketball team, and it was something really holistic. It became a family, a community, and you know, as the years went on, we've sort of grown at a really rapid rate. We started, like I said, with 6 or 7 boys in that very first team. In the last calendar year, we had over 1,400 kids that participated in basketball, netball, as our main core sports, but also like the cultural groups and our educational groups. And, you know, we look at things as a holistic support system for these young people. What I feel is very special about what Binaa has become, you know, it's not about me, it's not about anyone in particular, it is about all of them and the continual cycle of them giving back to the next group, and they're continually learning from each other. So, you know, it's been amazing for me to see, you know, people that have been involved just as a player in a basketball team to now to teach and to mentor the next group of young people coming through, and they're amazing role models. I could really speak for so long about some of the things that they've done, but, you know, I think, you know, now that I guess you know and learn a little bit about Binaa, you could have a look at some of the things that these young people are doing. But we go into schools now quite often. Some of the guys that were performing, plus some others, go in and teach kids culture throughout, like all kids from all backgrounds, you know, and the way that they interact with the kids, the way that they, teach in a way that the teachers even sit back and they're like, this is really cool, this is really interesting, and it's stuff that I guess, you know, the way they engage the young kids is really powerful because they're young themselves and they've lived that life. And, you know, it's been you know, an incredible journey for me. But the main thing that I see, I guess, is seeing the multiplying effect of these young people and what they do for the next group. And it's just going to keep going that way because they've got really strong foundation and a strong leadership group that's looking out for them. Some of the exciting things, I guess, that, you know, we're working towards, which we're working with the City of Swan at the moment. So the timing of this is really, you know, exciting because we're, you know, in a couple of weeks meeting with the council around what we're trying to do to make a more, I guess, a sustainable future for other young kids in our own area to play basketball. Currently, we take kids to Warwick and Coburn and all around the place to be able to participate in basketball. And that is a barrier for some kids. That does make a lot of kids that don't have the access to transport and whatnot. I've got a 12-seater bus and I filled that up, but there's a lot of kids that we know are still missing out, and we want to make sure that there's opportunities and pathways in our own backyard, and have these young guys actually lead that charge and be coaching and refereeing and all that sort of stuff. So there's a really exciting, something we've been working on for quite a long period of time, but it's exciting now that we're working with the City of Swan to sort of like bridge some of them gaps and to create something that will be really important, not just for, I guess, the young Indigenous people in our area, but for all kids, for any kid that wants to be involved in that, to be welcomed. And, that's something about Binar as well, that we are very, very inclusive with everything that we do. Anybody's welcome to be a part of it. We went from, I guess, myself as the main sort of driver to now having, a board of directors, which is a mix of young and old, male and female, Aboriginal, non-Aboriginal people, and an executive group and a young leadership board, and things like that. And, we feel that, these young people are going to have a massive impact on our community going forward. And I'm going to actually pass you on to Kashayla, who's one of our definitely like an amazing young role model for our girls. She's had an amazing story herself, which I'll let her tell. But yeah, like I said before, was part of our very first Binar girls team. But excited to be here tonight. It's been great to hear. Simon, absolutely loved your speech before. It was, I did learn a lot more than I ever learned at school in that presentation. And I think you should add school teacher to the list of everything else you've got on there, because I think kids would take a lot more interest in science. But yeah, thanks for having me. I'll pass you on to Kashayla.
So my name's Kashayla Austin. I'm a proud Gunditjmara Noongar woman. So I'm one of the young leaders for Binar Futures. I'm only 19 years old, so I know I look old, but like Uncle has said, like I have a special story that has inspired a lot of our young girls, even some of our boys. So to start that off, so growing up, I was a very shy girl. I suffered from social anxiety, depression, had a low self-esteem, and my safe spot was home. So, at a young age, you don't even know those words exist. You don't know why am I feeling like this? Why can't I make friends? And, it was difficult to come out of my shell and, to find people that I was comfortable with. Growing up, I wanted to be the next Kathy Freeman. I was talented, I could outrun anyone here. So I went to one training session at Brown Park, loved it, but because of that anxiety, I just discontinued. The what ifs got to my brain, like, what if I'm not good enough? What if, these mob don't like me? Like, it's just, the self-confidence that I didn't have. So that's my biggest regret, because I wanted to be in the Olympics one day. But I remember one night Uncle Adam had said, do you want to play in a basketball carnival? Now, I haven't even played basketball. I don't even know how to play. But I don't know, there was just something in my brain that just said, stop that anxiety feeling, and just said, do it like it's meant to be. So I went through that carnival, got runner-up MVP, and there's just something about me getting 12 rebounds that I really enjoyed with my long, lanky arms. And from that day, I was pumped about basketball. It was just something about it that I enjoyed and that I loved. So like how Uncle Adam mentioned, we had the first girls team up in Kalamunda. I was one of the originals. So I live with my nan, so it's pretty hard. She doesn't, she has her car, she has no license, so it's hard for me to, get the opportunities through basketball, because there was nothing in Midland. And I'm a Midland girl, born and raised, that's my home. So I had to make my opportunities and go outside of Midland. In 2016, Binar Futures was invited to participate in the Friendship Games over in Shanghai, China. Uncle Adam rang me up about a couple of nights before saying, do you want to come? Now, I was only 13 and I still had this social anxiety that I didn't know how to cope with or to overcome it just yet. So I was very hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. Like, no way. Like, that's scary. I can't even get out of my own bedroom, let alone go to another country. So, but I guess a long time of being convinced, I was like, nah, let's do it. It's an opportunity, so let's just do it. Now, that trip changed everything. I met, you know, a group of friends that I now call my big brothers and my big sisters, and that trip, I guess I came out of my shell and I found a group of people where I could be myself without feeling judged and having that anxiety feeling. And I developed my leadership skills that I had within myself. I have found the true person that I'm supposed to be and the passion that I have for, you know, mentoring kids and just being a part of a basketball group that is a family. And because of that trip, I've gone to Malaysia, I've gone to Singapore, I've traveled to Cairns. Is that it? I don't know, there's probably more, I just can't think. And yeah, so I've gone, you know, traveled internationally, and it's all from the help of Binna. And like, I wouldn't be who I am today without Binna. Like, I wouldn't even be standing here talking to you, Mob. Like, I would have been like, no way, like, that's scary. But I guess with Binna, I became who I am supposed to be, and I found myself. I developed skills to become the young, empowering Aboriginal woman that I am today, and to mentor our young girls who look up to me as their big sister, and also the boys, they look up to me as their big sister. And just, I have a lot of kids that just say, I want to be like Shayla one day, and that's just something that pushes me to be better, not for just for them, but for myself as well, and, you know, guide them through the right direction, because at the end of the day, the youth is our future, and we gotta, you know, guide them through the right pathways, because they're gonna be running this country soon. Hope that goes well. But yeah, like before, how Josh had mentioned that Binna is a home, and it's true. Like, they say that, you know, home isn't just a place, it's a thing. And Binna is my home. It's where I can feel comfortable, where I can be myself without any judgment. And I guess, you know, when people think of Binna, they just think that we're a basketball group, or we're just for, you know, Aboriginal people. But we cater for anyone in any backgrounds. Like, we have a young boy, he came from California, America, and he came down to school, and he met Malachi, and he was looking for a basketball team, you know, to try and, you know, meet people, and he came along to our group, and now that's my little brother. Like, I love him. I'll kill anyone for him. But yeah, so anywhere you go, wherever there is Binna, it's always going to be home to, just not to anyone, but to, you know, everyone. But yeah, so that's my story, and thank you for listening.